missing someone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ask Will. I've been joined by my beautiful wife this evening. Her name is Cassie, for those of you who don't know her. We teased this episode a little bit in my last video, so if you haven't had a chance to check out episode 3, then go ahead and click somewhere along here or in the description below. We're here today to talk about some questions as far as what it's like being an interabled couple, being married, and that kind of thing. I think we'll definitely have Cassie back again. And once again, in my effort to keep these videos a little bit shorter, and knowing how we can get going.
How you can get going.
Yes, well, we're going to go ahead and keep this episode to like maybe 4 questions or so, like I tried in my last video. So, welcome Cassie.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah. Cassie and I used to do a podcast together, so we're used to talking in front of the microphone together, and she has a special voice when she gets on to record these kind of things.
You have a special voice every time you talk on the phone, every time you go through the drive-thru. Okay. So don't tell me about special voices, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. We wanted to get you on here. I certainly wanted your perspective and kind of do some of the more of the listening. You and I, we sat down before this. We thought of some topics that would be relevant. So let's go ahead and get started.
Sure.
So, all right. One big one that happens to me all the time by myself, and certainly I think it happens to us as well together. I don't think I notice it maybe as much as you do. Yeah. Maybe not as much as you do, but you've not been dealing with it for as long as I have individually. Right. And that's being stared at in public.
Yep.
Obviously, being an average height woman, you want to stand up?
I mean, I'm not that tall.
Yeah, I'm on my knees right now.
Everybody see my sweatpants.
That's about the same as if I were standing.
Yeah.
So she is 5'3", almost.
No, I am 5'3".
Square on.
I'm like in a quarter.
Okay. And I'm 4 foot tall. And I'm 4 feet tall. So it's about, let's see, 15 inches difference between the top of my head and the top of your head?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's significant.
Sure. And that's only, when I'm walking around. Sometimes when we're in public, we travel a lot, and I will be on a scooter, a motorized scooter, to help me get around for like longer spaces. So if my short height wasn't enough to draw attention, then the scooter certainly helps add on to that. So
for sure.
Once again, this is something I've been dealing with my whole life. How do you feel in the past 13 years and change that we've been together? Obviously, we were out in public on our very first date.
Yeah.
Do you notice it more now or less than you used to? What was it like for you kind of getting used to that?
I don't really, I guess, focus on it anymore. Not that I don't notice it less or whatever. I just don't really pay attention to it. Just because it is what it is. And people are going to stare because it's different. And I don't know. I don't really remember ever feeling like it was a thing when we first started dating. I think I just knew people were going to stare. Anytime something's different, people are going to, look or point or whatever. So I think what is frustrating about it is when 2 things. Either a kid does it, not that the kid is doing it, because like I'm a teacher, I know how kids are. Something's different and they're going to say something, they're going to point out because they don't know. What's frustrating is when the parent or the adult or whoever is with the child doesn't take the time to stop and make it a teachable moment. They'll either just be like, shh, don't say that. And not explain like why he's different, or even like bring them over to like if a kid approached and asked, that's totally appropriate. It's more appropriate than just telling the kid to be quiet. And also, or sometimes the adult will just completely ignore the kid, which is, again, not the appropriate response. That's frustrating, and it's frustrating when people take pictures, which I feel like they do that more, not of us, but just of you.
Mm-hmm. It's because I'm so handsome.
Of course.
Right? That's what my mom always told me.
Yeah, I know. She's right. You are very handsome.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking your picture.
So, yeah, I mean, this is something, obviously, I've been dealing with for 32 plus years. That's how old I am, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're 32.
I'll be 33 this year.
Old man.
So, progressively gotten more used to it, I suppose. So for me, adding Cassie into the mix was no different than adding like a parent or a friend or somebody, another warm body with me in public. It's not something I haven't experienced before. So for me, the whole concept and situation was not new. And I generally don't even really notice it these days or really care that much. The only point in which I draw the line is if you are blatantly coming up to me and taking a photo, I might whip my scooter around and call you out on it. I had that happen to me. I worked downtown. I had that happen to me one time on the corner, and I almost flipped out and made it very known that I knew what he was doing. And it's really funny when people think that they're doing something sneakily.
Yeah.
Either like
They're so like
staring sneakily or particularly kids. There's a certain like body language where I can tell.
Well, kids is like little kids is they will. I mean, it's very obvious when a child's staring because they're like.
Well, no, what I was gonna say is,
and a lot of times you will be like, "Hey."
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that might scare a little bit. I don't know.
Sometimes I'll go.
Yeah, you have done that before.
No, but in all seriousness, if the kid is like, adolescent age, old enough to know better or whatever, there's a body language shift where I can see that they're about to go spread the awareness that someone near them and whoever they're with, either their brother, sister, friend, that there is a little person near them. And let's be very obvious when we see me turn to that person, tap the shoulder or go like this, and then about 2 seconds later I see one of these. And then,
Or one of these.
Yeah. Well, that's not that common.
The more obvious.
I mean, sheesh.
Well, and also I think what's frustrating too is with you being in the scooter, people don't know how to react. And I don't know if that's like a little person thing or just a scooter thing.
What do you mean don't know how to react?
Like they get in the way, or they just like they'll do the like he's driving and like we have stories of him speeding along, like running into people, running into things. I don't know how many times he's ran over my feet on the scooter. But
that is true.
That very true. But if he's like honestly just driving at a normally slow, like regular pace, and someone just like they don't know what to do, and it's like, just move.
Yeah.
Get out. And I don't know, like if they're like stunned to see a little person in a scooter, or if it's just, I don't know.
I think
that kind
most of it has to do with lack of common sense.
True.
In all seriousness, it's like, okay, here's someone different than me. That's fine, whatever. I'm sure you see someone different than you 9 times out of 10 when you walk out of the door, unless you just live in some kind of cult, or you're in quarantine. And then some of it is my other thing is like, you've seen wheelchairs before, like,
right.
I don't know. It baffles me.
And it's moving towards you, so just step out of the way.
It baffles me, particularly when we're on the cruises.
That's the worst. That's what, or like when you're trying to get off the elevator, or trying to get on the elevator, and it's like
nobody has the common sense, or everyone's trying to be selfish, and the fact that they are like.
or they're like overly and they go beep, beep as you back out of the elevator, and that's like a little too much the other way.
Right. So, it happens, and it's just a part of life. And if that's all we have to worry about in life, then I'd say we have it pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they do think we're just really cute.
I mean, maybe.
Or maybe they think we're one of these little people TV shows.
Yeah, maybe.
We're celebrities.
Yeah, possibly. I mean...
Could be.
But especially when my YouTube channel takes off,
exactly.
Right? Totally.
TLC, give us a call.
No, I do not. I don't have a desire.
I would love to be on TV.
Mm-mm. This is as close as you're getting, babe.
Next question.
Benefits and drawbacks of being married to a little person.
Benefits.
And I want this to, excuse me, I want this to be about me and not what I can do for you. I mean me as a person and not what I can bring to you.
Like me cutting line at Disney?
Something like that.
That's a benefit.
Now, hold on.
Oh.
Before you go on with that, that is like
it is a misconception because we don't get to skip every line.
No, we don't. And
I don't even think we get to skip a line.
There's a certain few things we've learned. I'm not going to blast it out just for the sake I don't want it to change for myself. There's a couple little secret tips that we do use at Disney especially. But
that'll be another video too.
These days, especially Disney, because Disney's so popular.
They're very handicap accessible.
They're very accessible, and
so you're going to wait in that line like everybody else.
Especially Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Oh, yeah. They made sure to make that line nice and accessible.
Yep. So don't
with that good old 3-hour wait.
Yeah. Don't have that card to pull as much.
Nope.
But sometimes we do.
So a benefit. Why is that the first thing that comes to mind? That's terrible.
I know.
I should really think of other things. I don't know. What do you think a benefit is? Help me out.
I think it's funny. I actually think it's interesting that you can't think of anything.
Because I see you as like a regular person.
That's what I was going to say. Like, any benefit that I can think of has to do more with me and not my physical stature.
Right.
Like my big brains or my beautiful face.
He did not say his big brains.
In
that big head.
Those are the kind of things I bring, but...
The benefits of being with you outshine the benefits of being with you because you're a little person.
Yeah.
Does that mean to say?
No, I think...
Because I love your personality and how smart you are and all the
if I'm putting myself in your shoes, I don't know that I can necessarily think of anything.
I think you have more benefits of being married to an average-sized person.
That is very true. Reaching things, for example.
Right.
How about drawbacks? Anything that you can think of there?
Just having to take on a lot of the physical things, like around the house. And, like lifting stuff that might be really heavy that we don't have anyone else here other than our 2 dogs, and they're not very helpful with that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's either we have to reach out to family members or friends, and sometimes that's just not convenient. You want it done. You don't always have to call somebody to come over and help. So, we figured it out. We got our king-sized Casper mattress upstairs and unpacked at our other house.
Yeah, that was
by ourselves.
Well,
you just have to figure it out sometimes.
Right. I think what makes it kind of even more difficult for you too is not just the fact that I'm a little person, but I deal with feet issues. Right. Which are completely legitimate, by the way. I've seen a podiatrist. And
you need to put your x-ray right here. He has the freakiest feet.
Right here. So
the bones are it's wild.
My podiatrist said, it's podiatrist, right?
Yeah, foot doctor.
What's the other one that you don't? Proctologist.
Is that the butthole doctor?
Yeah. Podiatrist. Told me that I have probably either the most unusual or one of the most unusual feet she had ever seen, or skeletal structures, because my joints kind of fuse Anyway, I'll put a comparison of my feet and a normal foot up on the screen here, so you can kind of compare the differences. But on top of that, too...
Well, you can't really bend over.
I had my hip and knee
really
surgery,
difficult.
So I can't bend over.
So...
I mean, I'm just useless.
And I'm like the type... You're not useless. I'm the type of person, like, I want it done now.
I'm the same
And
way.
he's a little bit slow moving at some things, and so I'll just be like, let me just do it. Which that might be part of my lack of patience problem a little bit.
It's okay. We all have things we can work on. Now, one thing I do... Now, tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here. I do feel like what I lack in physical
you make
ability,
up in other things. Yes,
I try to
100%.
try to make up in either mental or technological or
100%. Yeah,
and that's something that I'm very fortunate that my parents kind of put me in that position to be able to do.
Yeah.
Because it was ended up being even more of an issue than maybe they anticipated for me down the road.
Well, and then I also grew up with a dad and an older brother that always just kind of did all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really expected of me to. So now I'm like having to do it. But it's fine. It is what it is. We get it done and that's it.
Yep. So I've had lots of surgeries in my life, but only
one with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say only one with you.
And it had nothing to do with your dwarfism.
Nope. So I had a colectomy last year. It has nothing to do with dwarfism, but I contracted diverticulitis about 7 years ago, and it was getting progressively worse. So that was really the only major surgery I had to go under for since we've been married. I certainly have had lots of different surgeries in my life, which I think I've mentioned, going to spend an episode going through some of those. How did you feel about me going under surgery? Do you feel like you felt differently with me going under surgery, that I was a little person versus average size?
Yes. The main concern, which I didn't really think about until his dad was heavily involved with the surgery process, because when he was younger and having those surgeries, his dad was very much, both of his parents, but his dad especially was really on top of making sure he had the top doctors and the top care and did all this research and everything. And so the major concern was the anesthesia aspect because of the neck size, and that was scary. And then when they were trying to wake him up from his colon surgery, they had to re-intubate him because he had stopped breathing, and then there was a night in the ICU and all, the surgery was supposed to be over. It was over. I was told everything was fine. And then we were told to go over to where he was going to be. And it was waiting and waiting and waiting. We had no idea what was taking so long. And then I finally got to go back. And they're like, yeah, we just pulled the breathing tube out. And I'm like, why was he in here with the breathing tube? So it was scary.
Yeah.
Because that was the one aspect about his dwarfism that had to do with the surgery. And there was kind of an issue, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being there with me.
Of course.
Appreciate that. So I know we're coming up on time here. We have one final bullet point here, and it has more to do with you and kind of piggybacking off of our first topic as far as being stared at and using that as maybe a teaching, learning moment as opposed to getting upset about it and going off on someone.
Right. So I'm a third grade teacher. So I'm dealing with 8, 9-year-olds, and the first day of school, I always do a Mrs. Sigmund slideshow, teach them about me, and I always make a point to put a picture as the second slide of me and him together with us both standing, so that it's obvious that there is a difference in our height. And they always have the same reaction. You've got the kids that bust out laughing because it's something different and they're not sure what it is, so that's just how they react. And then you've got the other kids that are like, it's not funny, it's not funny, it's not funny. And then you have the shocked kids that just have the really big deer in the headlight kind of eyes. But I do that so that I can teach them what dwarfism is, and I always tell them how Mr. Sigmund's just like you and me, and he can drive a car and he works. And then they get really interested in what he does, and then I always tell them that he loves to prank, And then they love him. Like, once I tell them that he scares me all the time, then they think that's just the best thing. And then they ask me all year, like, what did Mr. Sigmund do to scare you today?
And then the fact that I'm, like, into computers and...
Oh, yeah, they love the...
Like, video game consoles.
Yeah, I'll tell, through regular conversation throughout the year, we'll talk about movies or video games, and they just think it's so cool that he likes that stuff, too. So, but I like to take that time to teach them. And then once they're taught, like, that first day, it's not funny anymore. And if we watch a video or talk about something that has to do with people being different or special needs, they're just so much more accepting and kind. So I think it's just so important that it's taught, because it isn't common. Like, I don't know any other little people other than you. And so I imagine they're probably in a very similar situation, and they just need to be made aware.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Definitely encourage other teachers or, people that are molding young minds, whether it be a teacher or a parent or anybody like that. If you're watching this with a young one, or, maybe you are a young one and you've come across my video, feel free to reach out to me in the comments of any kind of questions that you might have. And I hope to use this channel as we continue to go on as a platform to help learn, teach, educate, ask questions, answer questions, things like that. So we appreciate you tuning in.
Yep.
Look for more videos coming soon, and we'll ask this beautiful woman back to the studio soon. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Where can they find you online?
Well, my Instagram's private because I'm a teacher. So Twitter at Cassie Sigmund.
Okay.
And I do have a my classroom Twitter's it's not private, but that's probably not really one to share.
Okay, that's fine. If they really wanted to find it, they probably can.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys. Thank you once again, and we'll see you